Hey everyone, it's been over 2 minutes, and I haven't been raped by toxic masculinity or institutional oppression. Hi, I'm Diana Davis, and last week I was talking about the battle over freedom of speech that is currently taking place in the media and in the universities, and I looked at some footage from a debate that was held at the Oxford Union. So I'm going to revisit that footage from a different perspective. I'll put a link to last week's video below for anyone who hasn't watched it, and probably on the screen here somewhere. But this week I want to look at the lingo of the social justice warrior. Hegemony, or hegemony as some people say. This is the act of annoyingly trimming your bushes in such a way as to be designed to try and seem superior to your neighbors. Intersectionality. The oppression of signs and/or lights which exert control over traffic to privilege the direction that some people are going over others. Privilege. Someone is jealous of you and it's your fault, and they want to knock you off your ledge. Privilege. Identity. Something that is provided to you when you join a group. Marginalized. This is the effect of insignificance that an autonomous person feels after joining a group in order to obtain an identity. Ally. Somebody who wishes to have an identity but can't find their own group to join. These people tend to be very volatile and anger quickly.
I've been called an awful lot of things in recent months, particularly, and my favourite is, the smug embodiment of the cancer that's spreading across university campuses. That was a fun one.
Now, the point I was making last week was that when you get onto a platform, when you decide to stick your head above the crowd and speak out, you have to be ready for people to attack you. That's one of the reasons a lot of people don't speak out, is because you make yourself a target. And what they're proposing is that we take vulnerable people and put them up on platforms. And that's a little bit problematic.
Why is having a thick skin such an important trait to you? What's so important about being able to take insult after insult that you fetishize emotional fortitude in this way?
Now, Tim Squirrel wants to convince his audience to agree with him while spouting out a bunch of social justice rhetoric, which he acknowledges himself is rather foolish.
What I'm hoping to convince you of over the next few minutes, and if any of you are playing student lefty bingo, please stifle any noise, is from neoliberal individualism. A person in a position of privilege, structural oppressions in our society, transmitted through discourse and structural inequalities, the down punching, the up punches, and the contribution to oppression and prejudice and structural inequalities which is made by comments aimed at people from groups which are marginalized in society.
I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, okay, if he's speaking for, poor black people and, marginalized transsexuals who are living on the street and stuff, well, I'm pretty sure that they don't even know what he just said.
Everyday acts, both small and large, both minor and viscerally violent, which are perpetrated against people from marginalized groups and which perpetuate that marginalization.
Holy alliteration. I don't even know. Am I listening to a speech or poetry right now? This guy's good.
Is contributed to by every offensive joke, no matter if it's ironic, every throwaway remark about rape or domestic violence or mental illness, every racist cartoon, every dog whistle, xenophobic immigration panic, Daily Mail article, every Unilad fucking Facebook post.
All right, on to the next one. Now I'm going to do a little bit of a screech warning with this one because her voice is like fingernails on a blackboard. But here we go.
Peter and Brendan stood up here and complained that us students, people like Tim and me, are engaged in a discourse of censorship, that we want to silence them. Not being funny, you don't seem very silenced. And unfortunately that means we're going to have to get these guys to shut up for a while and give the platform to someone else.
Well, this is a little bit tricky. So what she's basically saying is, as long as they are able to be there to protest to her telling them to shut up, that they have not been silenced. So the only way for them to prove they are silenced is to put themselves in a position where they can't say so.
To try and erode the platform that our racist and misogynistic society has given to two privileged white men. That you personally should maintain hegemony over that platform.
I know. Okay, this is a bit of a one-trick pony, this chick, so she's going to tell us a lot about the problems with talking about talking and the way talking,
You have to create a space where those people can actually enter into that discourse. Discourse of hypocrisy, the discourse of censorship, so arrogant to engage in that discourse. The discourse of Islam, it has to be buttressed by that discourse.
Are you sick of the word discourse yet? Now, what I really liked about this particular speech by this creature was her explanation of what it means to have a difference of opinion. This is gold, absolute gold.
Let me tell you how a difference of opinion would work. A difference of opinion would be for Peter to say, I am not a Muslim, but others can be. That is a difference of opinion. A difference of opinion is for Brendan to say that I am not someone who is a transsexual, but other people, if they are, that is something that I respect. That is difference of opinion.
Right, so I'm going to blend a couple of clips of this woman and her third and final teammate who were arguing against unlimited free speech, because what they're saying is essentially the same thing, but they're coming at it from different points of view. And the third person speaking against the motion for unfettered free speech here, the right to offend, he was actually a lot more clever, and it's his tactic that I want to talk about when I'm done showing you these clips.
That offence actively perpetuates censorship of marginalised groups.
A sense of status, dignity, and equality of individuals who belong to marginalized groups in society. It may, as a result, create political and social spaces where such individuals and groups are being excluded from either de facto or de jure.
Right. This is one of their problems. They're not talking to normal people. They're not talking to the average person in order to have an effect and improvement upon society. I don't know who they think they're talking to, but it's not you and me, okay? So what this guy is about to do is to confuse the issue, and this is one of the things I mentioned in my last video. This journey I'm on here started with the reading of an article in the New Yorker, which suggests that the people who claim to be trying to defend free speech are actually silencing other people. And that's what you've just seen in these arguments. They're saying that when you exercise your free speech, you may be silencing other people.
I want to draw a normative difference between trying to persuade and trying to injure.
What this gentleman's about to do is what is most concerning to me. He's going to try and confuse issues with who's silencing who, and as the other lady tried to do. And he's also going to confuse positive rights with negative rights. And I'm just going to play this clip and then I'll explain a little bit further what positive and negative rights means for those who haven't heard of it before.
What that means is that a duty holder, that is the state, has a positive duty, a positive obligation to respect, to protect, and to fulfill the right of a person to engage in offensive speech, even when the sole purpose of that speech is to offend, ladies and gentlemen, and despite whatever harmful consequences that speech may have.
Okay, so that's his description of what people who are fighting for unfettered free speech, the right to offend, he's saying that they are asking for positive rights, and then he invokes human rights laws to explain why this is bad.
The European Convention of Human Rights, ladies and gentlemen, says that an attempt to abuse the use of European Convention rights, including freedom of expression, that is aimed at the destruction of other rights and freedoms, is prohibited. So let's look at the harms of offensive speech.
Okay, so to explain positive and negative rights, the civil rights that were the founding rights in free societies, those are called negative rights because they are designed to keep the state out of the lives of individuals. So the state may not interfere in your life in a number of ways, and those are civil rights. Those are negative rights because it's negative, you're keeping the government out of your life. Positive rights are human rights, where you can appeal to the government on the basis that one of your rights was violated, and then you can ask them to interfere and fix the situation. Okay? So human rights themselves are all based on positive rights, asking the state to be a nanny between individuals to resolve their problems. Now, this gentleman has claimed that the freedom of speech is a positive right. It is not. It is a civil right. It is the right to speak without being punished for it. And the reason he's able to confuse people about this issue is because of vigilante justice inspired by social justice warriors. When he's claiming that, them crying out for the right of freedom of speech is asking for a positive right, it's because the government has lost control over enforcing society's laws. These vigilantes have taken their place. And he would like you to think that the right to freedom of speech is not being threatened by this substitute government.
The bottom line is everybody loves human rights, including free speech. They love their own. It's other people's are a bit more of a problem.
And that is the bottom line.
This stuff was paid for, this freedom of speech and these human rights were paid for by generations long ago, and they were paid for in courage and in blood. They weren't designed to make us comfortable. They were designed to keep us free.
And now for the rape joke of the week. The social justice definition of rape: you can't prove you didn't do it.